Hello, guys, and welcome to Cricket Caviar. Sri Lanka has defeated Bangladesh in the Test series. Two Test matches. First one played at Gaul Cricket Club. Second one played at Sinhala Sports Club, and it was at Sinhala Sports Club, SSC Colombo, that Sri Lanka won this epic Test match versus Bangladesh by innings and 78 runs. The first one, I guess Sri Lankans will be disappointed. They didn't win that Test match. But I think many people are going to talk about what Pathum Nissanka did, and obviously we are also going to talk about what Pathum Nissanka did because this series was just a revelation. We all knew Pathum Nissanka had the talent, but to play on these kind of pitches and score these big daddy hundreds is something special again. People are going to talk about Prabhat Jasuria, how he was totally out of form in the first test and he came back in the second innings of the second test and picked a fifer again. But I'm going to talk about some of the key players who I really feel changed the game for Sri Lanka. I think one was definitely Vishwa Fernando coming back, and the second was the brave call. Angelo Matthews. Hats off to the legend. He has been a humble servant for Sri Lankan cricket. But after his retirement, I thought maybe they'll go with another batter to replace him. But they picked Sonal Dinusha, and I think he was absolutely the game changer in the first innings and gave that crucial advantage because Bangladesh definitely had the advantage with the toss in both the test matches. So they won the toss in the first match, and second match also they batted first, and they could have put a big score like they did in the first innings. They could have batted long. Actually, they didn't put a big score, but I think they batted really long. 150 overs they batted in the first innings. They couldn't bat longer in the second innings, and I think that was thanks to Vishwa Fernando and Sonal Dinusha, who didn't get much of a chance to bowl in the second innings because Prabhat Jasuria was bowling so well. And also, I really like Dhananjay De Silva's captaincy in the second test. So many variations, so many spinners coming in. He himself coming on to bowl and picking up those crucial wickets in the whenever needed. With something, he's always trying something different, and I really liked his captaincy in the second test. Let's not forget that Bangladesh is a strong side now, especially on these conditions. Like they have proved in Pakistan that they even beat Pakistan when they were 26-46 with Liton Das and Mehdi Hassan Miraj playing brilliantly. And again, Mehdi Hassan Miraj was not available for the first test, but he came for the second test. Bangladesh ensured that he doesn't get away with many runs. But I'm also going to talk about Asita Fernando and what a fighter he is. So on the first day itself, you could see that Sri Lanka kind of got an advantage of 45 for 3, and I was thinking that wow, this is such a great start for Sri Lanka. They are going to ram home the advantage, but Najmul Hassan Shanto and then Mushfiqur Rahim 245 runs, 245 run partnership. That was a big partnership. I think it was 265 runs, and that big partnership really put a dent to Bangladesh, Sri Lanka's hopes in that test because you know they batted a long time for it. They almost, I think they batted 400, 500 balls. That's almost like a days of batting, and if you take out one day of batting, a test which is rain affected, because we did have a session that got washed out on second day. And I really liked how after being so tired, being in the field for such a long time, Pathum Nissanka just came and played some beautiful strokes. I even rate his 187 in Gaul better than his 158 in SSC. But obviously, 158 in SSC is what gave Sri Lanka the win. So for him and Sri Lankans, that 158 will mean a lot. But what I mean by saying that 187 by Pathum Nissanka was so special is that uh, the strokes that he played, the cover drives that he played, the cut shots that he played, the pull shots that he played, they were just amazing to watch and so brilliantly executed, so stylish. And they picked Lahiru Udara as the opener for this test series, and I saw a glimpse of Aravinda De Silva and Roshan Mahanama in him. He couldn't convert the runs, I know, but he looks a really stylish batsman, Lahiru Udara. He also kept the wickets for some time when Kushal Mendes was taking a rest. And I think Pathum Nissanka was brilliant in that test. I think if that 187 would not have come, Sri Lanka could have lost this test match also. That was a possibility because they ended up trailing by 10 runs, and that trail would have could have been a lot bigger. And you know what happened in second innings. You all saw what happened in second innings. That ball really started turning suddenly after some rain, and if there was more time with Bangladesh, they could have won that first test. But Bangladesh themselves have to blame, as they didn't have time because they really batted slowly. I mean, once you cross 400, I didn't understand the reason for batting at 3 runs per over. And even in the second innings, I mean, Shanto got his 100 and everything. I mean, Shanto was clearly playing for his 100 there because that made no sense. Like there was a rain break, and still Shanto keeps on batting and scores 3 sixes at the end to show that he's having some kind of intent. Uh, you know, overall, the look of Bangladesh team was very funny. I mean, even taking those reviews at the last second, it's just unnecessary what Shanto was doing in this test. But I'm glad that they paid their due respect to Matthews, who they had timed out in the World Cup. Probably because Shakib was not there this time, so did give the guard of honor to Matthews and send him off with great respect. But again, I think Bangladesh have themselves to blame why they didn't win the first test because they were poor with their scoring rate in that and Sri Lanka were not having the best of Prabhat Jasuria. They were not having uh, yes, obviously, I mean Tharindu Ratnaike has made his debut. I thought Milan Ratnaike bowled very well in that first test. I mean, all credit to him on a dead pitch where the ball was not carrying. He bowled absolutely his heart out. Asita Fernando bowled his heart out in that first test. But the spinners, I think they lacked the bite. I think some of the catches when Bangladesh were 45 for 3 in that after that first hour of the day, some of the catches could have been held on. I thought Kushal Mendes was poor as a keeper in this test. He covered up with that important 84 of 87 balls in his second test, but I thought he was not good with the gloves, and Sri Lanka did drop a lot of catches, and especially and who replaced Kushal Mendes as the keeper? It was Lahiru Udara, who himself was dropping everything that was coming to him. But what a class knock by Pathum Nissanka, and we have to appreciate Dinesh Chandimal. He played brilliantly too, and Sri Lanka got to a decent score. I mean, Kabindu Mendes batted really well for that 87 he scored. I think that was a very crucial 87 by Kabindu Mendes in the first test. Um, Second innings again, Lairu Dara dropping so many catches, allowing Shanto to get that twin hundreds that he should not have been allowed to get that twin hundred at all. But still, credit to Shanto, he played well, and yeah, I mean they got to a decent score there. Liton Das batted really well. I thought his innings was really. I think that was the where Bangladesh ensured that this will not be a Sri Lanka win, because I still thought that when Shanto and Mushfiqur, when that partnership broke, I still feel that Sri Lanka had the chance to break Bangladesh there. But I think Liton Das absolutely ran away with that quick 90 and put the game to bed. And obviously, they ended up scoring 494, around 500 runs, Bangladesh. And there was no way back for Sri Lankans from there. And the only result could have been a Bangladesh win or a draw. And very glad to see that Sri Lankans really fought out in that third session where the ball was really turning, and secure a draw, because that those were dangerous conditions. And if only Bangladesh had put Sri Lanka in early in that second innings of first test match at Gaul Cricket Club, I think Bangladesh would have had a greater chance of winning that test. But coming to second test, obviously now Angelo Matthews has retired, and we have the replacement in Sonal Dinusha. It was a surprising one because I have never heard of Sonal Dinusha. I would love Sri Lankan fans if you can give me some input on Sonal Dinusha, because I thought it will be Dunit Vellalage who would probably come, because he's been so good in that white ball setup for Sri Lanka. And then I saw Sonal Dinusha bowl. What a smooth action, and taking that crucial wicket of Litton, and I think it was Mushfiqur. He took that two crucial wickets, and of course Vishwa Fernando being back, it helps a lot because uh, just Sri Lanka were not able to get Shanto out in the first test, and finally Vishwa Fernando comes and gets Shanto cheaply. It ends up that the only Shadman Islam was playing well, and but uh, you know Dhananjay De Silva was so innovative in the first innings. He kept that for Litondas. He was keeping that sweeper out in the leg side, and there was a catch drop, I think, by Lahiru Dara, which could have been taken, and Litton could have got out earlier in that first innings. But I think Sri Lanka came with lot of intent in that first innings, even if they didn't depend on Prabhat Jasuria. And I think that was the reason why Sonal Dinusha was picked, because Prabhat Jasuria was not well, he was a failure in the first test. So I think Dinusha was picked for that, and he absolutely delivered crunch time. Dhananjay De Silva himself picking up the wicket of Mominul Haq. Uh, and Vishwa Fernando picking up Shanto and Mehdi Hasan Miraj, two of the big names of Bangladesh cricket. I think Vishwa and Asita Vishwa, all these guys, and Sonal Dinusha, these three were just superb in that first innings, and they managed to restrict Bangladesh to 247, which should have been lesser because they were 220 for 8. But yeah, I mean, it was brilliant work from Sri Lanka. And then the way they came out to bat again, Pathum Nissanka and Lahiru Dara, they were scoring at 6 runs per over. And uh, how Dinesh Chandimal and Pathum Nissanka planned their epic partnership, that was so special to see, because we saw initially Dinesh Chandimal just come out and score lot of runs, and he even tried to disrupt Taijul Islam's line and length, because he knew that Taijul Islam is going to bowl at one spot, and he's such a dangerous bowler when he's allowed to bowl at that one spot. But he came out and he hit him for some sixes, and that kind of disrupted Taijul Islam's rhythm. I think it was brilliant from Chandimal to have that counter-attacking instinct and putting the team above himself. He's been brilliant. I mean, it's the first time he got out in the 90s. I would have loved to see Chandimal scoring his 17th 100. And very sad that this time, actually, I think it must have been after a long time that Kamindu Mendes got out without scoring a 50 in Sri Lanka, because he's been so consistent. He scored 87 and then 12 not out in the first test. So his average would have dropped, his legendary average would have dropped a little. But man, Dinesh Chandimal and Pathum Nissanka, that partnership was so special. When Chandimal was playing fast, it allowed Pathum Nissanka some time so that he could, take his time. And then when Pathum Nissanka got to his 100, those next 58 runs were gold. He scored at such a fast pace. They ended the day at 290 for 2. But what I really liked about Sri Lanka in this test was when, after starting the day 3, they were 290 for 2. They suddenly collapsed. Of course, Prabhat Jasuria was night watchman. They were 335 for 5 there. They had lost some quick wickets, but I think there Kushal Mendis understood that the pitch is deteriorating fast. SSC Colombo is not like Gaul Cricket Club, and he understood that the pitch was deteriorating fast, and he played a brilliant knock. All his partners were falling, all the wickets were falling, and amidst them stood Kusal Mendes, and I think that's where the game changed. I mean, of course, Pathum Nissanka did play a brilliant knock, but I think that Kushal Mendes 84 was so crucial. It just kept them ahead of the game, and so far ahead of Bangladesh. 211 runs lead was taken by Sri Lanka, and uh, brilliant knock from Kushal Mendes. Even though he didn't get much support from anyone else, he just played brilliantly there. Taijul Islam obviously taking a fifer, and then in the second innings, again, I think we have to give it to Prabhat Jasuria and also Ashita Fernando. I think he bowled really well again. And Shadman Islam, who was looking the main threat, Tharindu Ratnaike getting him out. It was brilliant actually. I mean, all of them contributed to this win, and it was a total team effort. Coming to Pathum Nisanga, I think Sanat Jasuria has been working with him a lot, and he has been trying to transform him. I think he made his debut a long time back and he played in Sri Lanka a long time back, but he got just 150 plus score. He has got his 100 in away conditions. I think he got one in Antigua in West Indies and one in England. Obviously, that was in a match-winning cause. But to score these two big daddy hundreds back to back in Sri Lanka, I think Sanjay Surya is making Pathum Nissanka a run machine, and that's how he should justify his talent. Absolutely, I mean he's a brilliant, stylish player. He's already a very good player in ODI format. Probably not one in T20 format, but I would be okay if they sacrifice Pathum Nissanka in the T20 format and just ask him to carry on in Test and ODI, because he's such a talent, and he has this hunger for runs. He can be a one of the leading scorers of Sri Lankan cricket and can match legends like Jayawardene Sangakkara. Definitely he can. So he also has that all-round game. He's very good against pace, very good against spin. I really like his temperament, hunger for big runs. So yeah, big days coming ahead for Pathum Nissanka. Unfortunately, Sri Lanka don't play much Test cricket. That's why I guess Angelo Matthews also retired. But there will be challenges. I think they are also touring West Indies again. So this is comparatively an easier cycle for Sri Lanka. I think barring those away series, they should win the home series. They'd be disappointed they didn't win this 2-0. But happy that they won so convincingly by an innings here in this Test match. And yeah, they put Bangladesh down, and brilliant all round performance. Kudos to Dhananjay De Silva's captaincy, because I thought after two or three catch drops he may have been feeling deflated, and how they couldn't win the first test, and they were behind. They were kind of outplayed in the first test, so he would have been disappointed. But to come back without Angelo Matthews, taking that aggressive call of including Sonal Dinusha, and then making Sonal Dinusha bowl, I think those were the brave calls. Himself coming on, bowling those full tosses or those confusing deliveries that can, entice a batsman to make a mistake. Genius. Tarindu Ratnaike, using him to, the ambidextrous, the first ever ambidextrous spinner. Actually, you would say that Kamindu Mendes is the first, but I think Kamindu Mendes is yet to pick wicket with his off spin. But Tarindu Ratnaike has now, picked wickets with both his arms. And I think one of the things that we'll be analyzing in the future is which arm should he bowl from, which arm he should not be bowling from, which arm is better. So all these things will come, and we'll see many other cricketers, many other nations also produce ambidextrous bowlers in future to adjust to the left-hander advantage which the batter has got. So I think all these facets are going to come into the game. But for now, good win for Sri Lanka, and very important win. And I think SSC Colombo is one place where Maila Jayawardene used to rule, and this is such a special ground where good players are rewarded. If you can play well, you can play at a decent scoring rate, I think you'll be rewarded. I think many of the other batters like Sangakkara, they don't have such a great record at SSC, but Jayawardene always used to be very good against spin, very technically clean, and obviously used to score at a faster rate. So he had a great record at SSC, and I really liked the pitch that was produced for this test match. So thank you guys again for supporting and us and watching our channel Cricket Caviar. Please do comment and let us know what do you think, and obviously what do you make of the changes like Lahiru Dara coming in, Sonal Dinusha coming in, Dunit Velalage not there in the side. What do you make of these changes? Thank you so much for watching, and please do subscribe our channel Cricket Caviar.